Hi John. The ECB issued their quarterly update on the EDI action plan. What were your initial reactions to seeing the statement?
I was surprised that they had issued it without warning us, mainly because they singled Essex out in their report in terms of our compliance with board diversity.
So could you give us a rundown of what the ECB report consisted of and what that means for the club?
Yeah, so the quarterly report really is an update on where ECB are with all their EDI action plans, and that was a commitment they made following the Asim Rafiq affair and the fallout from that. It pointed out counties that were non-compliant in terms of board diversity. We were one of 10, I think. I think there were 9 other counties that hadn't complied in terms of the diversity on the board, and we were definitely one of them. We've held our hands up in that regard anyway. We knew we weren't compliant, but I think what was so disappointing was that we were singled out.
And what has the fallout from that been?
The fallout has been a series of very unhelpful articles in the press, especially the one by Lizzie Ammon in the Times, which is erroneous in the extreme. You know, we've done everything we can over the last 6 months to address our issues. We've held our hands up, and we've tried to deal with all our problems at board level, not least the issue of meeting diversity and gender targets. And you know, ECB are fully aware of what we're trying to do. We've been in conversation with them throughout the process. They know what our plan is, and they're fully supportive of our plan. We received an official letter from ECB a week ago, which is the non-compliance letter, which we have to reply to within 2 weeks. I'll be sending my reply to ECB within that time frame, so everything's under control. And that's why it is particularly galling to be pointed out yesterday in the press, and you know, in terms of the reputation of the club, to have another article which is not factual in the press is not helpful for us.
And you mentioned your disappointment of their statement, the way Essex cricket has been singled out, and the subsequent articles. Could you expand on why you feel that way?
I feel that way particularly because, you know, having gone through a very difficult process at the club where we have been concentrating on sorting ourselves out and making sure that we are meeting targets that ECB have set us. I feel as though we're going through the same process as other clubs. Obviously we've been an exceptional circumstance because of the historical allegations that have come our way, and also the allegation of racial language used at a board meeting, which we've met head on. We've put our hands up. We're going through a process. ECB are buying into that, and they are fully conversant with what we're trying to do. Therefore, to wake up this morning to more news articles, when we've had a lot of press recently, I felt it's time to say something about it and defend ourselves against what I think are unfair stories in the press in that regard. So that's why I'm talking about it.
So why is it that the ECB have issued this update and singled out the club like this?
Well, I think obviously the ECB are under a lot of pressure to show that they're acting, and I get that in the circumstances. And you know, I know that we have had there's been a lot of focus on Essex. So I would say that it suits ECB to single us out. I completely get that, but it's not helpful for us. When you look at what we're doing as a club behind the scenes with all our community and outreach programs, the fact that yesterday and today we're fielding a second team with 5 players from an ethnically diverse background that have come through our pathway, and also the fact that Essex are the exemplar around the country for community and outreach programs and our EDI action plan. Other counties come to us for advice. ECB hold us up as the shining beacon for EDI programs. So this is the irony of the situation. We get singled out on one hand, and on the other hand, it's well recognised that we're doing fantastic work around the county.
And given that, can you shed some more light on the reality of the situation?
The reality of the situation is that we are non-compliant as a board. We're dealing with that through a proper process. We have an AGM that we're going to have, and we'll talk about that. We have to go through a thorough process to get this right. But everything else we're doing as a club, off the pitch, on and off the pitch, is excellent. This issue of sorting our board out is the main area we're addressing, and we're taking it very seriously and doing everything we can to do it within the time frames.
So on to the next steps for the club. You mentioned the AGM. When can our members expect that?
Well, everything will flow from the publication of the Catherine Newton QC full report that we commissioned back in November last year, so that we can have a transparent report on everything that's happened at the club. We can learn from that report. We can act on all the recommendations. We promise to implement as many as we can. That could mean constitutional change. We know we have to address the issues of board diversity. We've got to get that right. And then there's the whole issue of organising an AGM. It takes time. So if you start from mid-June, I would say mid-August at the earliest, maybe early September. And I know that is far beyond what is usual. But this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to get it right, and I want to make sure I get it right.
So can you explain a bit about what you expect from the new board and the process for applications?
So what I expect from the new board is, first of all, in terms of its makeup, it will meet all the targets we have in terms of gender diversity and skill set. Obviously, we're starting from scratch. We'll only have one elected board member, Vicky Ford, left at the time of the AGM. However, we do have an opportunity to appoint 3 new board members. We could appoint them tomorrow if we wanted. However, and that's because of 3 resignations: Wasim Haq, Paul Harvey and Ronnie Irani. We can fill those vacancies straight away, and we could meet our diversity targets straight away. However, I want to get that bit right. That will leave 5 positions for the members to elect. Now, there's obviously there'll be certain individuals, candidates and skill sets that we'll be looking for, and we'll give the membership a strong steer in that regard.
Thanks, John. Is there anything more to add before we end this?
Well, I'd just like to say to the members to have a great long weekend, to celebrate the Jubilee. Everything is going well on the field. We've had a good start to our T20 campaign. We played fantastically well in our last championship match at Old Trafford. So it's given us momentum when we restart our Red Bull. So on the pitch it's looking good. In terms of community and EDI it's looking good, and we'll sort out the rest of it, I promise you.